Hey guys, I don't have a name for the podcast yet, but this is my first podcast without the great Pedro Goncalves. Goncalves? I don't know what the fuck his name is. Anyways, I have a guest with me, Buffyslayer1 on Stars, Jamie Wilby, is his real name, poker player slash coach. He is crushing the mistakes for the past year and a half. Pretty good coach as well. We're going to talk poker, coaching, and anything else that kind of randomly comes up. So, yep, say hi, Jamie, I guess.
Hey man, you've massively overhyped me as well, but
Yes. So I guess we could just start with your basic backstory, tell people who you are and all that shit.
I guess I don't know, pretty standard stuff. Deposited $10 on stars way back in the day, ran super hot, played a bunch of sit and goes, and kind of spun up a roll, and kind of went from there. I guess I was like a pretty exceptionally bad player who ran really well at the start.
Yeah.
to not go bust multiple times. And then I kind of luckily found 2+2, which made me, I was still terrible, but less terrible.
2+2 was pretty good back in the day.
Yeah, it used to be an amazing website forum. These days not so much. I still have 2 or 3 really good friends from 2+2 actually. In fact, just before we spoke, I booked flights to Holland to go and see an old sit and go friend of mine from years ago. We've kind of been good friends.
Cool.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. But I don't know, 2+2 is not really like that anymore. But I guess I got into it at a great time, and then got really bored of sit and goes. I have massive respect for those dudes who can just pump out thousands upon thousands of sit and goes and play them really well. But it just wasn't me, and I kind of got the MTT bug. And sucked at those as well. So I actually, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I actually emailed everybody in the Pocket Fives top 1,000 one day. spend 5 or 6 hours doing it, because you couldn't just copy and paste, a standard email, because it had a spam protector. So I had to write out a different email to 1,000 different people, and 4 people got back to me. One was do you remember him? He was called the Maven or something. He was an old high school, high stakes guy.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, he offered me coaching for $12,000 to go to America for his camp or something like that.
What?
Yeah, something. It's a bit weird. I think he used to have a live camp or something. And then one guy was kind enough to answer some hand histories, and then Andre Soprano, who I know you know,
Yep,
was kind enough to kind of give me some advice. And actually, he sent me a couple of his wins from back in the day. He won the Full Tilt Major, which was really cool. And I analysed them to death. Sent him 1,000 questions, and he answered them to me. Answered them for me, which was pretty nice. And that was kind of my way into kind of getting to know a decent player. I think.
I thought asking someone you just met 1,000 questions is a really bad strategy.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's absolutely appalling. The way to do it is make yourself indispensable to the guy, right? I can build a website for you in return for coaching it. So it was absolutely awful, but I was an idiot.
And Andre's just a nice guy, I guess.
Yeah, he's just a really, really cool guy. I think he, speaking to him later, because we ended up being quite friendly, I think he did something similar, but not quite so badly himself, and really appreciated kind of getting a leg up and getting help, so he felt, maybe kind of pass it on type thing, right?
Were there other people that were kind of really big for helping you kind of improve and get better?
Not in the early days of MTTs. I watched a bunch of training videos, but they all kind of sucked. Looking back on it, they helped a little bit, but they were really poor.
Yeah.
The quality of training. I used to be a member of Poker Pornage, which kind of helped me actually, because they used to have a sit and go every week, and if you won it, you got an hour's free coaching.
Oh, cool.
And 5 people used to enter. So I got over a period of a year, I got I think they used to run it every month. I got 6 or 7 hours from players way better than me.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But then kind of over time, I think Andre started a stable, started coaching for a stable, Like he picked like 7 or 8 guys and started coaching them, and they were backed. And through kind of persistence, I think I applied to him 3 times. So I kind of got into that. And then I ended up meeting like, 4 or 5 other players who were like decent MTTers at the time. And I still sucked, but I didn't suck quite so bad.
Well, like, going back, I think that's interesting because I think a lot of people would just try and apply. They'd be scared to just apply one time, and it's interesting that you applied 3 times without fear of just, rejection or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's part of my personality. Actually, me and my wife were talking about this the other day. We were saying, like trying something new never, like, scares me or anything, or her either. I don't know, she, like, for example, she plays netball, right? And we moved to a new area. So she just, like, rang up a bunch of netball teams and just joined the team, not knowing anybody on the team. Like, that would scare some people. And I did the same with football when I moved to this area, like playing soccer, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't care about getting rejected because I knew I sucked, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of got... And, like, from there, I mean, I still wasn't very good, of course, but...
Were you always just like that? Just not afraid of getting rejected? And is this just something you learned through your previous business before poker? Or previous job?
No, not really. I think that's just a function of my personality. So I didn't really learn it in because my whole career before playing poker, I was a senior buyer. But I don't want to sound kind of cocky, but I was pretty reasonable, pretty good at it. And I kind of progressed fairly quickly without really any knockbacks. So I kind of didn't get it from that. I mean, maybe I played chess when I was younger, and you learn to lose a lot there, so maybe that helps. But yeah, I just think, I don't know, I just wasn't too bothered. I just desperately wanted to improve, basically, any way I could.
Did I tell you about the time where I wanted to hit up Cal for for me to coach him or something like that?
No, did you just randomly PM him on Skype?
Well, I was trying to on Facebook, and I spent like 1 hour writing like a paragraph or two, going over it, just like nervously. And then I have it all typed out, and I was just like so nervous about sending it, like I couldn't even hit the button. I'm like, Ash, go hit this button, I can't even do it.
Oh man.
I feel like a lot of people experience that, but it just really holds me back from, I think it holds a lot of people back from meeting people and,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know, just think about it, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, they said no once already, do you know what I mean? Like, it can't get any worse.
You can't say worse than no, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he was polite the first time. He said, I think you're, like, not the right fit for it, or, yeah, you don't need our help at this stage. And I was like, yeah, that's just a nice way of blowing me off. So, yeah, eventually he kind of took me on. And, I mean, he's a really, really cool guy, really nice guy as well. So I think I was in a stable with him and, like, I guess about 10 or 11 players for about a year and a bit. And after about 6 or 7 months of that, I decided to go full-time playing poker, which, looking back on it, was probably too early for me. Like, I probably wasn't nearly good enough to become a professional, but I thought I was. And then I ran like God, and like 6 weeks into turning pro, I chopped a Sunday million, which was like obscene, to be honest. So it kind of like gave me a buffer of a year to kind of
like
suck really hard, but not have any financial worries.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it probably wasn't until actually just before we started kind of talking, working to each other, I probably didn't suck as badly as I once did. Took a long time. Like, I'm a fairly bright guy, but I guess, I don't know, maybe not a slow learner, but I just had loads and loads of holes and stuff I needed to fix that I hadn't really thought about. And yeah, I guess the last year and a half have been pretty decent since then.
Yes.
Still have plenty of holes, of course, but not as many glaring leaks as once there was.
Yeah, so you have a graph, an ROI that a lot of people wouldn't think is sustainable or possible. If you check out, you're like Buffyslayer1, you're Don Corleone on 888, Buffyslayer2 on some other sites, and Lay Buffy on like .fr or some shit.
Yeah, I can't remember because some of those sites I can't play anymore. I have an alias, which like I created ages ago, it just consolidates everything. Let me just remember what it was. It's like...
Oh, it's public? Yeah.
But yeah, Buffy 2014. Yeah. So I created this at the beginning of 2014.
Okay, and it runs till now, or...
Yeah, it runs forever. It just has any username I've ever played on. It might be missing about 15... Yeah, that's right. It might be missing around 15k or something of scores from, like, various random sites I've played, over the years. Like UB and stuff like that have gone by the wayside, but it's more or less accurate.
Yeah, so if you look up Buffy 2014, you'll see a graph of, like, I don't know, 70 to 80% ROI, probably, nowadays, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's reasonable.
And just no huge scores. I don't think you have one 5-figure score.
Well, I have the Sunday Million ship.
I just mean since 2014.
Oh yeah, no, it's all been like small scores. I might have had like one 10k score, but maybe not. Maybe it's like 6 or 7 was the biggest.
Yeah, I think your biggest was like 8k, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, nothing like huge.
Which, I mean, I'm not going to ask you whether or not you think that's sustainable or possible. So I know you won't.
I hope it is sustainable. It'd be sweet if it is. Who knows? It could just be on a sick, like, 10k game heater or something. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could be. Why do you think your results are so much better than everyone else's? Like, what do you think you're doing differently?
Guess part of it is game selection. So I don't play, although I did at the start of this year, but I don't generally play a huge number of turbos. Which is, it deflates your ROI, right? I mean, it increases volume, so it has some benefits, and increases hourly, but I don't play that many turbos. And the ones I do tend to be ones with like slightly better structures and stuff.
Yep.
Probably because I play mainly daytimes, although I do play some evenings, I guess. I guess the fields are, I want to say softer, but I don't know if that's the right word. Because, like, comparing kind of peak schedule to off-peak schedule, within the mainly off-peak schedule, you tend to have more regs to recreational players in terms of a ratio. But, like, those regs are probably not as good as the ones that are playing, peak time and going deep. So, it's hard to say, but I'd say that makes it a little bit easier. I think, being deep in a tournament with a really, really good player cuts into your ROI pretty significantly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, part of it is that, I think, as well. Part of it is, I play quite a few smaller fields as well. So that means you don't have huge downswings. And huge downswings tend to coincide with people starting to play badly.
Yeah.
Confidence gets knocked, you change your game because you think you're not winning anymore. But actually you are, it's just, variance, etc. So I think those things all help. And I think technically I've improved or... I'm able to exploit kind of a lot of the other regs in my games at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that you coaching a lot and having a really high ROI. I think coaching is the same exact thing as studying.
It's very close to it, yeah.
Depending on who you're coaching. I mean, some players maybe not, but
yeah.
You put in... I don't know, you probably consistently put in 10 hours a week of study for, like, the past year or so.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah, I mean, just via coaching and then probably, like, 5 to 6 hours on top of that. Yeah, that all helps. I think it helps you... I mean, I would definitely say I rapidly improved when I started coaching heavily. It helps you kind of... I mean, this, you have to coach, but you have to really understand kind of a topic or an area and the different nuances to be able to coach it effectively. So you have to do a lot of work on it, and that kind of deeper understanding just helps overall, I think.
Yeah, I think that's how it helped for you. For me, I like all the different perspectives on the same spot. So I get to talk about one spot in 4 or 5 different ways, the way 4 or 5 different people view it, and kind of like bringing that all together and kind of like deepening my understanding from like a holistic perspective. It's been really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I think the other flip side as well is I coach... Some of the people I coach actually play in my games, or they play for stables.
Yeah.
And stables are a little bit like, countries, they're kind of like individual niches. So you get an insight into like how other reg stables, how they view a sport or how they're playing a sport. Because very often they might have differing opinions, but they all kind of merge in the same opinion, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea.
So like I'll coach like one stable, and the players generally will do, I don't know, hard to think of a specific example, but I don't know, they like to 3-bet certain types of hands.
Yeah.
And that might be because they've had coaching, webinars, videos, whatever it might be on it. And other stables, like, they take an opposite approach, and they're like, well, I don't want to 3-bet that stuff because of X, Y, Z. So you kind of get an idea of how different groups of regs play, which kind of helps in exploitation as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some stables that love check raising the dry flops too. That's probably one.
Yeah. You can definitely, there's some correlation between, I won't say any stables' names, but, they have their stable logo on, their little avatar, and they have certain tendencies, like, that run across different players. You can see they've been specifically coached on that idea or whatever it might be.
That's interesting. I've never thought of that one time. That's cool. It's kind of cool.
I only really know. Actually, I should have realized before. I only really noticed this like about a month ago. I happened to be playing I happened to have played like 4 or 5 players from the same stable.
Yeah.
And they were actually doing this check raising a dry flop thing, and I was like, they've obviously just had like some kind of video or coaching group session on this, because they're like all doing it, and they're all picking like similar flop textures to do it on. Which is kind of interesting.
Yes, and we know who like video series they see. I guess we won't like name drop it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a few around. I mean, to be fair, Phil Galfond even made a video on Run It Once with something similar not too long ago. So maybe that's part of the reason as well.
Cool. How long have you been coaching for? Like 1.5 years, 2 years?
Actually, probably a little bit longer. Not long after I luckboxed the Millie, the guys who were backing me asked me to like do a group, just as Andres had done. So I was in one of Andres' groups. They had like 4 or 5 groups, and they asked me to start a small one. So I started one probably like towards the end of 2012, I want to say, and did that for about 9 months. And then kind of the stable fell apart and stuff. And then from that, because I enjoyed the coaching, I mean, it was only like 1 hour or 2 hours group sessions a week. I then started to do like individual coaching as well. And I think it was only then I felt confident enough that I could actually teach somebody something. Do you know what I mean?
Has your degree in sociology and psychology, has that helped at all with your coaching?
No.
No?
Not really. No.
That's interesting.
I mean, I did have to do some teaching as part of the course. Like, you'd have to take a class and stuff. But, I mean, I didn't really go to many classes. I was probably the worst student my university had ever seen, actually. But
Did you get good grades still?
I did okay, yeah. I did okay. I think I got a 2-2. I should have got a 2-1, but I was... A stupid story, but I went to an economics university, and because I was lazy, some friends of mine said, oh, you should take these classes. They're, like, really simple. Like, you'll breeze through them. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing to me. And they were kind of math economics-based courses. And they were easy if you were a student of economics at the world's best economics university. Like, for somebody who was, like, a sociology graduate or, I guess you'd say major in US, they were, like, ridiculously hard. So I kind of, like, just scraped some passes in a couple of modules, which I should have done. You know, if I'd done a normal one, I would have done well. But anyway, kind of diverging, I guess. It didn't really help me at all, to be honest. Because I had quite a lot of coaching, because I had all this poker pawnage coaching, you know, the 3 hours. I'd had, obviously, coaching from Andres, and I think I'd had, like, the odd hour here and there from other people. And I always felt a little bit dissatisfied afterwards. I don't know if you'd had coaching. You probably didn't.
I've never had coaching, yeah.
Yeah. I always felt a bit dissatisfied, and I wasn't quite sure why. And I just tried to coach in the way that I would want to be coached, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And since I'm, you know, a relatively typical poker player, I would assume that's gone down relatively well with the people who want coaching, if that makes sense.
I think your learning style is the dominant learning style, I would say, in a sense. I I mean, I wouldn't say everyone's like as organized and like wants things like as neat and tidy as you do, but
Yeah,
everyone kind of tries to play the game in your way for the most part. I feel
yeah.
like.
Um, I also found like having structured sessions kind of helped as well, both for me and for like whoever I'm coaching. Um, rather than kind of like endless hand history reviews, which is kind of what I'd had before.
Yeah.
I think they have their time and place more for like review, reflection, looking at new stuff. But there's definitely guys who coach out there. They just bomb through a hand history, and I think it's much more interesting to like take a certain concept or a spot out of a hand history and kind of look at it. I know you kind of feel the same as well.
I've started this new thing. The first session I've been doing with people, I'll go through their database and see where their leaks are.
Okay, that's interesting. I kind of do something similar actually. Normally, with a new guy, I do a 2 hour hand history review.
Okay.
But most of it is me making notes on areas to work on in the future. I mean, you discuss stuff, right, that comes up,
Yeah.
and then there might be like 5 or 6 glaring leaks I think they have, and then future sessions will be like 40 to 50 minutes concrete on like that one topic. And then I normally give them homework, but poker players are lazy; they often don't do it. But normally give them homework on it, and then like review that homework at like 2 sessions later or something like that.
I'm not a fan of the word lazy. I will agree though that they don't do the study.
And maybe lazy is not the right word.
What is it like? What is going through someone's mind like when they don't do something? Are they like? I don't feel like anyone's like in a good mood, has good energy, feels like what they're doing has purpose, and it's just like I'm gonna be lazy and not do anything.
I think people just find something else to do more engaging. And maybe it's a cultural thing actually, because it's very going to stereotype people very badly here, but the Western people I teach put less effort and time and energy into doing the homework. Like often they'll do it like 15 minutes before the session. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Than those guys like from Eastern Europe or something.
Yeah.
I have guys like from Latvia or Estonia. They'll do me PowerPoint presentations on what I've set them. Do you know what I mean? Like they've obviously spent like 3 to 4 hours on it. It's kind of no wonder that those guys are crushing.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's a Western culture thing. You don't like life isn't as tough. You don't need to necessarily work quite so hard because you have privileges and things kind of given to you just by nature of where you're born. I don't know. Maybe it just kills that drive and energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of things. I think people just aren't good at studying on their own. They're really bad at it, and it makes it really boring for them and really ineffective.
Yeah, I mean that is true because I was terrible at studying. Like I I didn't. I just basically crash revise the night before. But with poker, that should be different, right? Because generally the people should be, in theory, highly motivated because it's something they're interested in. But
Yeah, most people are they go through hands that are just like standard, 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 and they got through 200 hands an hour and just haven't learned anything or did any really thinking.
yeah,
It's like,
spend about an hour on a hand.
yeah, and then they play like 16 tables and then don't apply. If they even thought about anything in that study, they don't have any time to apply it, so.
Geez, the number of conversations I've had with people, like I've actually one of the main reasons the guys are not doing homework and stuff is they're just playing a lot.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Oh, I've just played like 10 hours a day, like 5 days solid, 20 tables." I'm like, "How are you gonna like implement the stuff we've talked about and learn on a higher level when you are just having to make so many decisions per second, per minute, and you're not even having any like time to think about it?" Like really inhibits people's growth, I think. But
Yep, I think that's a factor too, that people just wanting to play instead of study. Wanting to make like either for money pressure or maybe they just really want to play or whatever. I think that's a big thing too, especially guys who are downswinging or really need to win.
I think there's a belief as well, like amongst a lot of guys, like I need to put in the volume to like get out the downswing type thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or some of them will be in stables and they have like a contractual obligation to like play 1,000 games a month or something, which is hard to do. I mean, it's a lot of MTTs.
Yeah, here's the thing I want to say the people, but I don't because it kind of is pretty negative. But if, like, a lot of the people we coach, a lot of them might start off as losing players, right? Or be losing players, right?
Hmm.
So when you're playing poker, you're actually costing yourself money.
Yeah, I've thought about that before as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah,
not doing yourself any favors. Like, what you need to do is, study 10 to 15 hours a week, maybe 20 hours a week,
yeah, yeah.
And, I don't know, I think we've kind of hacked the whole study poker thing, because I think it's hard to do on your own for that many hours. But we're, like, actually getting paid to study.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I think you just yeah, you get exposure to a lot of spots away from the table that other people aren't. Do you know what I mean? Just in terms of like reps, like you might
Yeah.
analyze facing a check raise 10 times more often than like the average guy, just because you've been going over specific hands with students.
Yeah,
That's pretty valuable actually.
yeah, and I think makes studying. Does it make studying on your own any better? Because I don't even study on my own, just with all the time I put in with coaching. Like,
Um, yeah, I don't know. Most of my studies kind of it is boring. It's just like running like EV calcs or simulations in ICMizer or Flopzer or whatever it might be. It does get a bit repetitive and a bit boring, but I don't know, it's like doing paperwork at the office, right? Like you have to do it, so if you set aside time and get it done, then it's done, and you never have to like look at it again. So
problem is I've never done paperwork at the office.
yeah, true. Yeah.
I'm not good with boring.
It is boring. What you need to do is get yourself promoted so other people do the paperwork for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth. I've done boring stuff when it's like I really wanted the ends that it would give me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like I really want to learn about this, so I'll put in a ton of time. I've never done boring stuff when it's just for the sake of doing it. Always been bad at that. Like if I know I'm going to get a good result, I'll do it. But if it's like up in the air, I'm probably not going to do it.
That's pretty human. I mean, I
Hold
have
on
like
one
a
second.
to-do list every
Hold
week.
on one
And,
second.
like, cool. Sorry.
Yeah. So,
Food cart. We're going to the grocery store.
all right. Okay.
Where's the food?
Oh, where is it?
All right, we're going to the grocery store.
Okay. Sorry. Back.
That's okay. Yeah, no, so I was saying, like, I have a to-do list of like things I need to do every week, and there's often weeks where like the most tedious task on the list, like it's bumped over to the next week or something. So like, no, I don't think anyone's immune to it.
What does your to-do list look like? Is it just a list of things, or is there different categories?
So I'm just looking at it now. It's normally like different categories. There's like poker stuff. So there's normally like 2 or 3 technical things I want to be working on in the week, and then like just boring stuff like typing up students' notes. I keep notes on my students because I have too many. Otherwise, I forget what I've done with them.
Same.
Do you know what I mean? And then I'll have like new stuff to investigate, think about. So that'll either be like software or videos to watch or something like that. And then like a load of personal stuff that needs doing. Like boring things like again mowing the lawn or fixing something or buying something or something like that.
How do you organize all the boring stuff? Like when do you is there a specific time you do it or a specific day?
So normally I try and do it when I have like gaps in my schedule from coaching or playing. But it can be tough. Like sometimes after maybe this is why people don't do their homework for poker, right? But like after you've done like 5 to 6 hours of coaching, it can be pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
So then like sit down and then like write up reports for like 3 hours can be hard. So yeah, maybe I'll find something like that's easy but not mentally taxing, like mowing the lawn or something, right? You can just switch off, listen to a podcast, music, do it, whatever it might be, painting the house or whatever it might be. So that's kind of a way I try and deal with it, and then when I'm a bit fresher, try and tackle the mental stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember this guy, he kind of sorted his to-do list by things that he thought about. What are the ramifications of if I didn't do this? Like, what would happen? And if the answer was like nothing, you just wouldn't do it or put it off.
Problem with that, I never get anything done because I don't have to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I don't have a boss to answer.
Well,
to.
you would answer like not mowing the lawn question with like Prue just tearing your ear out. She'd be pretty upset.
Yeah, well, she. I don't think she's like too bad, but yeah, it might get to a point with after a while, I might get in trouble. Yeah, I mean, actually, with my old job when I was a buyer, I used to have a to-do list there. But the great thing about that was I had like 3 or 4 people work for me, so I could just dish out the stuff I didn't like to them, which is like, do you know what I mean?
I've never had that experience. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, which is, I mean, to be fair, like it wasn't like I was being cruel. It's like part of their job description, but it's stuff they needed doing, but wasn't like valuable expenditure of my time. So I don't know about ranking them. Is not necessarily a bad idea, I guess. Like, I mean, there's always, I guess intuitively you do it right because there's always things you know you have to do this week. Like, it's my daughter's birthday coming up, and we're having a barbecue. So I know I have to clean the barbecue before we have the barbecue party. Otherwise, it won't happen, and I will be in trouble. So, like intuitively, you don't need to write out the top of yours. You just know it needs to be done.
Yeah, he would organize it by when it had to be done, and he would just not do anything until not last minute, but he would give it like a day or 2 buffer. For example, like not doing anything before you have to do it was one of his tenets. I'm not sure if you agree with that though.
Could be okay. The problem with that though is like you sometimes get thrown a curveball by life or something, so you may never get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not necessarily a bad idea.
Would you suggest like a bigger buffer, like 3 or 4 days or something instead?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I mean, in my old job, we used to have a very fixed schedule of like when things were done. So like when you would have to have we'd be buying products for for the store that we work for to sell, and you'd have certain dates you'd have to do stuff. So like you would have had to make final decisions by X date on what you were buying, how much you were buying by this date, and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So you kind of did have some rigid guidelines, and we'd kind of plan around those, I guess. So it's kind of similar to what that guy said, but being in an office anyway, like the day-to-day stuff always comes up, so I would always do stuff early, basically, because it was just always a chance that like my boss would want a presentation done, or I'd have to go and present something last minute, and then suddenly that would mean I'd be working till like stupid hours in the evening to get something else done.
Yeah, I see. And you used to explain what your job was, you used to buy like sporting goods from big retailers or something?
Well, I bought them for a big reason. So, like, all the stores. So, the store I bought for in the UK was called Argos, which you guys wouldn't have heard of. But they're kind of Walmart-esque, but nowhere near the size. And they kind of have a strange model where you kind of order things from a catalogue, but you pick it up in a store. But, like, yeah, so I worked on different departments. So I think I bought sporting goods. I bought kitchenware. I bought telephones, all different kinds of stuff. And you'd basically choose what products they would sell, the prices of them, the quantities of them. You do all the promotions. You kind of be involved in some of the marketing and stuff like that as well. It's a pretty interesting job. You go abroad like 4 to 6 weeks a year to go to China to like the actual factories that produce this stuff, and like order whatever it might be. You'd be buying.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, you got to develop some of your own products as well. So like when we're in my sports area, we kind of developed 3 or 4 different brands. Kind of endorsed by celebrities. I don't know if that's a big thing in America, like celebrities endorsing products, but it's pretty big here.
It's funny because it's just like a huge giant thing here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have no idea. I mean, the only thing I know of is like the George Foreman grill. Which kind of made its way over here. But yeah, we did a bunch of that, and then you'd have like brands, so like Sony and Panasonic and stuff like that. They come in and present their range and try and persuade you which products you were going to list, because you can only like sell so many, right? The store's only so big.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's some pretty rigid deadlines, because obviously like you have to have the products in the store by a certain date. So you know, when you're buying something, it takes so long to make it, so long to ship it, and all that kind of stuff. So pretty rigid deadlines.
Yeah, so I think a thing that's most interesting about you is just how well you balance just so many things. I mean, you put in a lot of time studying, a lot of time coaching. You play poker, do pretty well at it. You have a wife, 2 kids, a good social life, like, and I'm just not sure exactly how you do it. And so I'm kind of like prodding and asking these questions about calendars and to-do list. But I feel like if I asked you, like, the main piece of advice would probably be like, just do it, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Something I always found pretty important. I was always good at this with my old job and also with poker. Is like switching off when you're done. Do you know what I mean? So like, if I'm coaching on a Monday, like 9 till 5, at 5 o'clock, like when I'm done, that's it. Like, you know, no more like going back on the computer. I mean, I might talk on Skype on my phone to friends or something, but you know, no more actual doing work. Or like if you've got an event, you know, poker's pretty flexible, so you can move your playing day from, like, you know, if I'm playing on a Friday evening, like I would be normally tonight, but we've got friends coming over in the morning, so I played at a different time. Do you know what I mean? So you can just move things around because poker's pretty flexible. It's like a pretty huge thing. I don't think everyone takes advantage of it. They just think they have to grind every evening, and I don't know about you, but I'd rather kind of be out with some friends rather than like grinding like some 5 cubed late at night, one tabling or something.
It's a weird job because you can always work. There's always something to do.
Yeah,
You can always study, which is work. You can always play. So it's really hard to shut it off. I've always had that problem. So you think people should just have scheduled playing days, and then after you're done playing, do nothing all the time?
Potentially. I mean, when I first started playing full time, it was tricky. Like, it took probably about a year for me and my wife to kind of adapt to it, because she kind of found it weird. I was in the house. I was about, obviously, because of on breaks, but I kind of wasn't really there. Just to call on, do you know what I mean? And like my schedule, I was a bit up and down. Like, I'd be like, oh, I fancy playing tonight, you know, because I had that grind bug when I first started playing. You know, oh, I fancy playing tonight. You know, it's like, you know, there's some special tournament on this Saturday, or like there's a series on, there's this event I feel like playing. And that, you know, and we had a really young baby as well. And she was like a tough baby, so it was really hard for probably about 6 to 9 months. And then I kind of made a decision, like, okay, well, I'm going to sacrifice potentially some ROI by not playing at peak, mainly play off peak, but kind of have a more structured life and treat it more like a job. Like, not that poker's not a job, you know, more like a set. You know, when you work, you know, if you're a normal job, you're 9 to 5 most days, or 8 till 6, or whatever it might be, and treat it a bit more like that.
Yeah, so interesting thing is you told me that you and Prue talk a lot. You guys kind of schedule everything together, and I think that's really interesting. I think a lot of couples probably don't try and do that, or married people. It's just like, I'm doing this, work your way around it, kind of type of thing. Like, how often do you guys talk about these things? Is this like a weekly discussion, or kind of informal everyday discussion, or what?
Yeah, it's kind of informal, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's kind of funny actually. Prue and I both really enjoy our own company, as in ourselves, like being by ourselves and doing our own thing.
Yeah.
So we've never found the need, like, she'll very happily, like, you know, go upstairs and watch some trash on TV while I'm just like watching something downstairs. We don't feel the need to be together all the time, which I think helps. That's just our personalities. I think some couples are not like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we still talk a lot, obviously, and like in passing she'll be like, oh, you know, I'm going to do this tonight, do you mind? Like, and I never fussed about her doing anything, you know. And she also has access to my calendar as well. So I use Google Calendar, and she has it on her phone, so she can see like what my schedule is. And then she'll just like say, a couple of weeks in advance, oh, like I'm doing this or we're doing this. More often than not, like we're going to this family thing. So I think like last week I went to a family event. So can you like, is it possible to change your schedule so you can like be up early in the morning so we can go to this thing? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. She just tells me in a couple of weeks in advance.
Okay, so you always have some kind of advance time. It's not, hey, I'm doing this tonight all that often, or we have to go do this thing tonight.
Yeah,
or...
I mean, she's pretty good. She'll never put strain on my time without prior notice. Do you know what I mean? In fact, I've got a terrible memory for remembering stuff, so she's kind of gotten smart. I mean, she's known me a long time. She'll like remind me every week, not like in a naggy way, but she'll just be like, I know you will have forgotten, so just remember, like, I think like a few weeks ago she went on holiday for like 4 days, so I had to have the kids for 2 days. She like reminded me every week for like 7 weeks in advance. Like, remember, you've got to like cancel that day for being able to coach. And then eventually I remembered and like blocked it out. Yeah, but like she's not like naggy with it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so it works pretty well as a balance. But yeah, it takes a while to get there. Like, you kind of have to work at it. And there's definitely times when I first started playing, we had some like pretty heated rows about like me not being available and her thinking I was available and this kind of stuff. So it took some while to get there. It wasn't kind of like just by accident.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of that because everything's just last minute, chaotic, chaos. I don't know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, let alone a week from now or anything like that.
Man, that drives me insane.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just anal about being kind of organized.
Yeah, I'm just really shitty at being organized, not ever having a job or having like any pressures of school. Probably just makes it difficult.
Yeah, I definitely think that helps, actually, having a more rounded background, like having had like a pretty reasonable, decent career like before playing poker definitely helped. Because like if I'd gone straight from university, where I was like the world's worst student, into playing poker, I'd be god awful. Like, I just wouldn't have any discipline.
Yeah, you have to be disciplined or you get fired. Basically.
Yeah, basically, you got someone to answer to. Like at uni, like I mean, my tutors and lecturers, they didn't care, right? They're doing PhDs and research. They don't care if some like stupid 20-year-old kid doesn't turn up to class.
Yeah.
But your boss does. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll call that a podcast from here.
Okay. Cool, man. Good talking.
Yeah, sure. So where can people find out about you? Where can they find your coaching and all that shit?
So I'm Buffyslayer1 on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm twitching now, actually. So I've done a few Twitch streams, and I promise not to like show porn while I'm twitching. I'm Buffyslayer1979.
You just lost so many follows.
Yeah, I know, man. I might have gained some. That might have been putting them off the fear.
Yeah. Okay, so Buffyslayer1 on Twitter, Twitch, your whatever you said. I'm sure they heard you, or they could rewind. And you don't have a website or a coaching ad or anything like that?
No, not really. I did used to have one on 2+2, but I got booked up for like a pretty long time. So I took it down, and then I've kind of just been booked up since, more through like repeat people and stuff. So yeah, I'm not kind of taking on anybody new.
Oh, okay.
Not for a while anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay then. So yeah, Twitter, Twitch, find them at the tables, Buffyslayer1, Lay Buffy, Don Corleone, etc., etc. Peace.
Alright, man. Catch you later.
Yep.